For those of you who are unacquainted with this is a gun. Now, before I just blow your minds with that new information, I would remind you all, I am a professional. So,
But
good.
Give me some love,
Set.
comments below.
Set. Review is complete. Nailed it. Woo! Yeah! What's happening, my friends? Today we're talking about the IWI Galil Ace. Very fun gun. I've got positives, I've got negatives, and I've got stuff in between that I want to fault the gun for, but it's just very different. But before we jump into any of that, we got to get out on the range and we got to have fun. Fun comes first. That's my new motto. I just made it up right now. So range time. Yeah. So as you might have suspected, shooting is in fact fun. I just proved it to you in case there was any doubt. The IWI Galil Ace has been in operation for around 40 years. Israel's been using it for a very long time, but they replaced it with the IWI Tavor, but it's still used in places like Mexico and Italy by their armed forces. 40 years tried and true. It's a really awesome gun. It's got a lot of track record. This one is a newer version. It has a reciprocating handle on the left side. It used to be on the right side, like an AK style. And this really is a gun that was inspired by the AK-47 and the Finnish RK-62. So you got features of both just kind of mashed in there. Overall length is 27.5 inches with an 8.3 inch barrel. It's gas piston driven, has ambidextrous safety and operation controls, as well as built-in iron sights with tritium dots in them too. So there's that. The receiver is milled steel and the lower is polymer. It is heavier than it should be. Lastly, and something that I really like, is the folding stock. It's hard to do, so I push right here down on something and then push down on the stock, and then that allows it to fold. It's very easy to flip out though, and you feel kind of like a ninja. We've got pros and cons to go through, which is always the nerdiest part of our segment, but it's also one of the most helpful. But before we jump into that, I want to go over something that's not positives or negatives. It's just observations, and I didn't want to gig the gun. It was kind of more neutral, but you needed to know about it, right? So first observation happened when I was shooting the gun, went for an emergency reload. I inserted my magazine and then I went up to release my bolt and nothing happened because, behold, there's no bolt release there. They moved it onto the other side, right? And a lot of guns have that. I'm just saying, as somebody who's an AR-15 guy, that wasn't there, and so I just look like an idiot, like this guy right here. Up! There!
Yes!
I went for my,
You did!
I went for my button. Amateur hour, what in the world? I solved the problem instead of fishing for this, which is a smaller hit, and I don't want to move this hand because then it's slower to get back in operation. I ended up just coming for a rack. I'll also say during the reload that the mag did not fall freely, as right now I am pushing the mag release and nothing's happening. You have to strip, right? So that was not super bueno. It wasn't quite such an upsetting thing to call it a negative. If you want to call it a negative though, fantastic. There's your first negative. Another thing I noticed, and again, this happens with a lot of guns, the steel components up here, particularly the iron sights, this steel is built into the barrel, and so it heats up a lot. And as I'm shooting and my thumb comes to a rest up here and it touches the front sight, that's a no touchy ouchy kind of thing. So if you're not wearing gloves, no bueno, don't touch that. It is as hot as the sun when you're shooting very fast. Another observation is there's not a lot of rail space. If I wanted to put an IR laser here for night vision stuff, not that this would be the best gun for it, but all my guns, rifles, I'll want the option to be able to have that work in the middle of the night with night vision and stuff. I don't have a lot of space there, and if I did put something there, I don't really have a place for my thumb or pressure pads. These right here, these plates, you push and then it comes loose, and that happens all the way around so that you can mount accessories on your 1913 Picatinny rail. Anyway, I chose to keep them on because this stuff heats up and it was really hot. Though when I touched this being polymer, it wasn't heating up like this was, and I was concerned that that would be the case, and it wasn't. Now I'll put that back. Awesome. Last observation is the gun is pretty snappy. When brass is ejected, this gun hates it. It's like, get out of here, brat, and it just throws it 3.5 miles. Some of the brass is still flying through the air from the trajectory. Now, I was worried because it's so snappy that it was also going to be pretty gassy, so I really tuned the gun up for a fun mag dump for America and Freedom mag dump, but it didn't get really gassy either. Now, any short barrel rifle can be snappy, and so I didn't want to fault this any for it. I just noticed barrel length and whatnot. It was pretty snappy. I was pretty quick back on target, but a lot of my difficulty being fast and accurate had far more to do with the trigger than it had to do with the recoil impulse of the gun. Negative number one, $1,600 to $1,800. That's a lot. Some of you could buy two pretty darn good AR-15s for that, and some of you who brag about being able to build your ARs for like $35, and then you swear that it is the most reliable, awesomest gun of all time, when really your gun super sucks, and you're gonna bring it to my class and then it's not gonna work, and then you'll be like, I can't believe it didn't work, this is an amazing gun. But it's not, because it's a trash gun. You bought a trash gun. So spend more than $30, but try not to spend $1,800. I've got other guns I really like that are in that price category, and so I don't want to be too snooty. I just do want all the things that I want and not have to pay much for them. So there you go. It costs a lot. That was a lot of words to say it cost a lot. I'm gonna do better. I'll be more efficient in this review. Here we go. First positive, it is tried and true. I like a gun that's got a lot of track record, and this one, 40 years in operation, certainly does. So I think it's a reliable gun. It's a safe one to go with. So there you go. Also, it's in Call of Duty. It's a longer one in that, I'm told. I don't know, I was just told that because this videographer wastes time playing video games. Second negative, weight. It is heavy. This is 7.6 pounds without the optic unloaded. If I had an AR-15 that was this length, it would be closer to 5 pounds. So holy cow, couple extra, 2.5 extra pounds, that's a good bit of weight. Now, if you're taking creatine all the time like me, I'm about to snort a line of it, then you won't feel the difference. So stupid. Stupid. Nah, it's heavy. It's heavy. Don't snort creatine, people. That's not good for you, probably. So stupid. Guys, you guys are getting real off track here. We're trying to do a review. That's two negatives. The second positive is this folding stock adapter right here. It is hard to be able to adjust this. I'll end up putting this pistol grip here and pushing down, and that'll allow it to fold. And then you can be able to put it in a backpack quite easily. I mean, that is a short system right there. Pretty darn impressive. And it also is easier to have like in a truck or a vehicle, so that you could be able to grab it and then throw this into operation if you wanted to, or go ahead and leave it short. However, when you leave it short, it's real hard to access that trigger. I can do it, but it really sucks too. You could go offhand left-handed, but then you're shooting wrongy. And so if you're a lefty, congratulations. Finally, the world is in your favor. All right, so a third negative. And I hate to do this because it's making me look more and more like a sissy. And since I lost my beard, I'm being accused of it constantly. I get it, guys. But aside from it being heavy, the right thumb underneath here, this is a pretty, sharp corner that's really hitting that thumb knuckle. Even before I shot the gun, with just a few minutes of just dry fire and stuff, I already felt it a little bit in that knuckle, and you can kind of see right there. It's looking just a little bit gnarly. So anyway, maybe the answer is to take more creatine, wear gloves, or just be a tougher individual. But I'm just saying that's kind of tough on the knuckle, and so I gave it a negative for it. All right, third positive is it does have ambidextrous controls. Right here, I found that it was easier to go on fire when you pushed forward with the thumb on this side, and it was easier to go on safe when you came up and pushed with your finger there. I will say the safety, you know, it takes a little bit of a push, especially to get this one. And I can't really just cleanly mount my hand without having to twist my hand around and then push it forward and then fall in. And same if you did this one of like, I want to be ready to shoot, but I have to work the safety. And folks who really like the AR-15 where this hand doesn't move when I manipulate the gun onto fire, I do have to move my hand some. And so that, when I was just doing a course of fire on the range, I had to have a real deliberate moment to make sure that thing got all the way on fire, and I twisted my hand enough to do that and then fall back into a normal grip. So it wasn't ideal, but it does have ambidextrous controls to that end. Also, I can drop the mag with either side, this finger or this finger. So party on, ambidextrous controls, it's positive. Fourth negative, I'm not gonna go much into it. I'll just say field stripping this is a bit of a bear. It's obnoxious. Now, folks will say, it's obnoxious and hard to get this dust cover off, like, and it's got this button back here in the similar AK fashion. It's hard because the tolerances are real tight so that you retain 0 here. And I'm like, yeah, but still, your gun shouldn't be hard to disassemble just so that you can have the ability to have an accurate 0. Other guns have figured it out. You can mount your optic and still have a gun that isn't really difficult to take apart. And so there you go. I don't like that. Should be easier to field strip. That's a negative. I'll go ahead and give you the last fourth and fifth positive, and I already mentioned them kind of in the overview, but it had a flared Magwell, which isn't this groundbreaking positive, but it's there. And then also it already has built-in iron sights. I wouldn't want built-in iron sights if they were higher, but as I look through with this, I think this is a lower third height for my optic, I don't see these at all. And so that's good. I don't want visual distraction in my field of view. I just want a single red dot. That's how I like to roll. So they're low enough iron sights that they don't bother me. And I'm glad they're there in case something catastrophic happened up here. You can still fall into that. And it does have a single tritium dot here and 2 tritium dots on either side of the peep sight on the rear. Don't try to do that really quickly in pitch black darkness, but it's there and I appreciate it, and it's a fourth and fifth positive. Let's finish up our negatives, a fifth and sixth negative. The fifth one is it's not really awesome to be able to mount a sling to this. This particular SB brace doesn't come with the QD attachment points back here, so instead you have to link in right here. Sorry, lefties, that's not ideal. And then you could also link in up here, I suppose, or you could take one of these guards off and then put some type of attachment point on your Picatinny rail if you wanted to try to mount a sling there. But either way, it's just, either way, not really awesome to put a sling on it, in my opinion. It should be easier. The sixth negative, rightfully, maybe it's not a negative at all. It's just a bit of a negative to me. I know it might be a negative to some of you guys, so I just went ahead and listed it in the negative column. But Israel doesn't do rifle triggers the way the United States and some other countries do. This, to me, feels far more like a pistol trigger. This has far more to do with a trigger in a Glock pistol than it does with something like an AR-15 trigger. AR-15, it's a short, light, clean break. This has more of a prep and a spongy push until all of a sudden a break, and then you have to go out and in for more of your reset. Now, if you really know how to work like properly work a pistol trigger, like something like a Glock or Shadow Systems War Poet, whatever, then you should be just fine with that. But notice it's not exactly like an AR-15 or something like that. It is very similar to a IWI Tavor. So if you like Tavor X95, this trigger is just fine, but it does take some getting used to. It's not this short, clean trigger that some of you guys will be wanting. All right, so overall, I like the gun. I'm not gonna sell it. I'm gonna keep it, and it'll adorn my safe, and every once in a while, I'll pull it off and be like, I like this gun. Do have some grievances with it, but overall, we had fun running it through just different courses of fire and rocking and rolling with it. So overall, pretty darn cool. And maybe, just maybe, it'll find its way into a backpack or a vehicle for easy small storage. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. The biggest reason I like this gun is to be able to pack it down this tiny. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me if I missed anything, but don't be like all snarky about it. You know, you don't want to be that guy, those trolls. There's one right there. Don't be like that. Guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel, toggle notifications bell to all, like, comment, share this video, and check down below this video in the description. We have all kinds of relevant links and affiliate partners, and then there's our Warrior Poet Supply Co., all kinds of ways that you could support us as a channel. We really appreciate it. I'll ask you guys to train hard, train smart, and stay free. See ya.
Today we're going to be training with Shuki Dre.
Intercept and cut the muscle. Now that you understand what knife can do, now we can truly start the classes.
One of the toughest guys I know. Well, he's able to do almost everything, you know? He's great with the knife. It was the guy who made me look like if I was a 5-year-old kid when I moved with him. He can put you into very deep pain. I know you guys are gonna enjoy his masterclass.